Okay, Ryan, you know how we do Jared's jabs at the end of episodes sometimes?
Okay.
What if a whole episode was a jab? And I just put you on the spot and make you talk for 15 minutes.
That sounds easy for you.
Yeah. This is basically me throwing in the towel of my producer duties and saying, how can I put all the pressure on Ryan, right?
It sounds great. I think that's actually the job of a producer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's called delegation, Jared.
Lost in space, but that's okay. Climb aboard the brand spaceship today.
Okay, what's the jab?
I was watching some YouTube, right? And a lot of these videos are, people want to see steps, right? People want to see breakdown. People want A, B, C, D, 1, 2, 3, 4.
The listicle.
Yeah, they want listicles in video
So
form.
this is an episode that's a listicle.
This episode is a listicle. I want you to give me 5 steps to creating world-class content in your video production.
This is for brands?
Yeah, for brands. We are the brand spaceship. Let me just tell you, first of all, who is sponsoring this episode, because this is a really cool company that's not getting enough airtime, okay? This company is called Astral Apertures Incorporated. Now, one of the things that people don't know about Astral Apertures Incorporated is they're not just window fitters, right? They're space explorers. So thank you to Astral Apertures Incorporated, who I believe is a window fitting company, but I'm not sure. But they sent us a very large check, so we are going to we're going to shout their names from the mountaintops.
But not save me.
But not save you. No. 5 steps to creating world-class content.
The first one, I've been playing around with this idea that brands have to think like creators. So we're going to go with that for number 1. And let me explain what that means. So creators recognize that not every video is going to hit, right? The epitome of this is if you just look at a TikTok creator. Now, bear with me. I'm not saying every brand becomes a TikTok creator and just like dances and whatever the trend is, you just do that. But these individuals,
what the is this?
They operate at scale. So instead of trying to do one video, again, we go back to the same routine messages. Instead of one video, we got to have many. The part of that the creator gets right is that the way they can learn from what they make is by making more of it. If you have 20 videos and you're able to look at all the analytics across different platforms, you're much better able to understand what your audience wants than if you just have one video. And there's so many layers to why you should want this type of scale. But for this point, I will give you one. It's really about A/B testing, right? So thinking like a creator is about A/B testing. The traditional high-end marketing perspective is like, I have the vision. The vision is what this brand should be. And sometimes it works, but that's a little bit like having the movie studio that has one big movie and no other plays. No streaming plays, no direct to DVD, nothing on television. We have this one movie, and then it ends up being John Carter.
You've got me. I surrender.
I saw that in theaters. It's terrible.
I didn't dislike it. Actually, I thought it was fine when I saw it in theaters, and then it was like, they've lost $380 million.
When I saw you, I believed it's something new.
And I don't even remember what studio it was, but you have these movies that come up that are so expensive, right? That if they don't work perfectly, they can tank the studio. The same is true when a brand makes creative. If you just rely on one thing, you can tank. There's no TikTok star that made one. This is probably not true. There's probably one example of this, but generally speaking, TikTok stars are making every single trend. They're not making one TikTok video. Generally speaking, someone on Instagram posts every day. A lot of people are like, you need 80. Like if I just put on my Gary V hat, he'll be like 80 times a week, 5 times a day. And I don't even know if he actually means that many, or if he's just the individual who's shouting at brands being like, make more content.
Please get serious.
They're like, oh God. Okay, so that's number 1. You need to think like a creator in terms of scale.
Great. And point 1 was brought to you by Astral
Apertures. where you're not sure if it's a lens or a window.
I think it's a
or
window.
even
Thanks for
where
the
you
money.
are. Going on to number 2. This is all going to be about budget. And this is going to say, once you decide that you're going to be a creator, the second thing is like, well, does that mean I need 100 times the money? No. What you're going to do is you're going to take away about 10% of your final polish moments, your final polish quality, and it will literally 100x your output. So number 2 is about shifting how you budget. As someone who's been a director, a producer, a cinematographer, a post-production person, I've kind of worn most hats at really varied levels, from pretty high budget to super low budget. I remember when I was producing this thing for the internet,
Oh, the internet?
for the internet. No, but this was back when that was like a thing.
Web surfing time.
This is for the internet. This is like 2010, something like that. And we were shooting digital, and digital was kind of new. The cinematographer really wanted to shoot 4:4:4 color. I won't get into the specifics of this, but I just need to let people know that people were watching this on crummy screens. And the difference between 4:2:2 color and 4:4:4 color is really only visible on a giant, perfect, beautiful screen. And the difference in cost on that production was $22,000.
Yeah, it's putting a ball gown on a pig.
And so I remember being like, somebody coming to me like, sorry, Ryan, we only have this much budget for this. And I was like, the heck is this? And it was like it was like we needed this new recorder, and it had to be these other things. And then we're shooting a higher resolution, so the lenses had to change. And all of a sudden it was this $22,000 bill that literally no one would see. And here's the thing, if you're a brand that's really hard to watch after, we need to start with the end goal of how many assets we need, because we're thinking like a creator, then go to our producers, go to our production company, go to our agencies and say, this is the deal. So when so-and-so says they need whatever, we don't have that budget. A lot of times what happens is the reverse. The production goes and they say, hey, cinematographer, what do you need for your camera budget? And they're like, I don't know, $62,000. And then all of a sudden they just get this big old budget put together and they send it back. And they're like, this is what it's going to cost to make it. And then all of a sudden the brand has to be like, well, then we can only make one video. Versus the reverse, going to the production company with, we need 100 assets for this purpose. You got to make it work. And that is how I would divide the budget. I would tell the agency, I'd tell the production company, cut out that 10% of fluff. We don't need the fanciest video village, because what we want is a bunch of different videos that we can A/B test and think like a creator and get out in the world.
For a lot of production agencies, that's not a fun conversation, because in addition to making money on the current project, they're thinking like, I need stuff for my reel. I want to really be able to show this off, which is kind of a backwards way of thinking, because you can still get amazing visuals from the 10% less version.
I'm not pushing back on this, but I will say that it would surprise brands how few of the people they talk to that they think are their video experts have any idea where the money goes. They just know to work with these people, it costs this much money. I like what I get when I work with these people. Here's the thing that goes on in inflating economy, right? During inflation, all the prices for all those people go up. And so we've gotten used to a certain circumstance and a certain exchange of money for services. That's all going up. And we have to rethink it. And sometimes the people you're talking to, they don't always know how to rethink it. As a brand, if you're seeing your budgets be cut, you got to push on them. This is what we got. This is what we need. Make it work. And if they can't make it work, move on. Find someone else. I assure you there's someone who's excited to work for it. Number 3.
Brought to you by
Jared's Jabs. What is it? Brought to you by?
No, it's brought to you
Astral
actually
Apertures.
Incorporated. Yeah.
Not LLC. Don't say it wrong.
No.
Okay, number 3 has to do with recycling. Recycle your content. We call it upcycling, just because that sounds fancier. We talked about thinking like a creator, needing more content. We talked about how to distribute budget so that you get that more content, not just spend it all on 4:4:4 color, which you don't even know what it is. Now I will say, ask yourself this question. Did I already shoot this? And if the answer is yes, try to find post-production folks who can recontextualize it, upcycle it into something new. Never spend money where you don't need to spend. I realize that's going back into budget, but as you go through and you think about, okay, I know I need a bunch of different pieces of content. Okay, here's the assets. I need to make all of these within production. The production company comes back and they're like, we can't do all that for that number. And then from there, think, did I already shoot that? Did I animate that? Are there assets I already own that I already shot that could be used to create the content I need? Because that will always be cheaper than shooting something or making something new.
That's one of the golden rules of My Lady is upcycling, right? We are probably, in terms of footage, we were probably the greenest agency on the planet. And
The greenest?
the greenest, the most green agency on the planet. And now, thanks to Ryan being stuck in space, the greenest agency in the cosmos.
I actually didn't know what you're meaning by green. I'm like, money?
No, green like, save that tree. Don't you cut that down.
I am completely carbon neutral in space.
There's zero waste because there's nowhere to throw it.
That you know of. Moving on. Number 4, more time in pre-production. I don't think we've even talked about this yet on an episode, but this is where I see the most issues happen. Besides wasting money in production, these are all tied together. Wasting money in production is tied to not taking enough time in pre-production. I recently did an audit on the cost for us for Mile 80 on our various shoots and when they go above what I expect them to be. Inevitably, they go above what we want them to be, need them to be, expect them to be when we didn't plan for all of the possible issues that will occur when we go out and we shoot, much more so than when we edit or when we animate. Things come up that you don't expect. Someone can't show up on time. It's raining. It was supposed to be sunny. You're not sure. Should we have shot this angle? Should we shoot this angle? We don't have enough time. All of these things that allow for efficiency on set are decided before you get to set. Before you get to set, you have to make these decisions in order to ensure that you're efficient on location and therefore have to spend the least amount of money. If we don't know what we're doing when we show up, we spend more money. Why? Because that's when all the people are there. If you don't know exactly what you need and all of a sudden there's 20 people around you, it's a big waste. I've seen memes online about the cost of meetings for companies. It's kind of like having a standing meeting of 45 people in your company where no one talks. And you just wish that there was this like money counter that was like, this has cost $62,000 to the company so far and nothing has happened. Well, that is exacerbated on film sets, specifically because there are often people who haven't worked together that much. It's really like a business. A film set's like a business that is turned on for 2 days. So the planning ahead of time allows for that to happen efficiently. Now, wait a minute. Here's the other part of it, and the part that's most important to the brand beyond just saving money. The more time you spend in pre-production, that you invest in engaging with your agency, engaging with your production partner on the project, the more you're all aligned before you get there to shoot. The more you know what you're getting before it even gets shot, the more likely you are to be happy. That saves money in all sorts of ways. If you only need a wide because that's what you know you want for the whole spot, now the director knows we only need to shoot that. That saves time. On top of that, when they go to edit, if they know exactly what you want, it saves time in post-production. We'll have fewer edits on the back end, and there won't be big emergencies that do often happen in the commercial world where you have to go shoot again. Because how do we save money?
Those are siren sounds.
Fewer people and fewer locations. Oh, and by the way, bring them there less. The more we have to bring people back, the more money we spend. So number 4, more time in pre-production.
Planning ahead prevents any, future catastrophes. And if you want to plan ahead on your window fitting, be sure to call Astral Apertures Incorporated. Peek into the cosmos like never before. Crystal clear views of infinity and beyond.
Number 5 is kind of the opposite. We've been talking a lot about how to save money. Number 5 is how to spend money, right? So know what's most important to you about these videos, both in terms of asset quantity and creatively. And when you figure that out, be very candid with your production partner and spend money there. If you're a company like a car company, for example, it's going to be very important that the footage is exceptionally smooth for a car commercial. And the camera has to be able to smoothly move at really high speeds because the car is going to move fast. That is crucial. Don't waste money on that. Don't spend a bunch of money on your flights to the location and on all sorts of other, food, etc., and then have some janky rig attached to some janky car that has to chase after a Ferrari, right? It's not going to end well. We must realize the parts of our production where we can't skimp, understanding where to splurge. The way to save money is not just like getting rid of everything that you'd ever want because you'll feel restricted. And then all of a sudden, as any of us know, our friends who went to Catholic school and then they came up to college, they kind of got wild, right? So if we just restrict ourselves of anything we want during the production process and we don't get those things we really need and care about, all of a sudden, it's going to feel really restrictive and not that fun. So know the part of every production where you should invest and figure out how to overspend in that place in order to make sure that you feel like you're getting what you want. And frankly, in order to get what you want. If we just go for the cheapest production possible, we're never going to get the cool car chase. However, I assure you, there are ways to shoot a car chase for X, and then there are ways to shoot a car chase for 100X. And they don't always equal better quality. And that is where the discernment and the practice of going through these whole processes goes. So to wrap it up, the 5 points we discussed were: 1, think like a creator. 2, take your budget and divide it across assets, a bunch of different assets. Go backwards, figure out how many assets you need and back into what your production is based on that. Number 3, you need to recycle. If you already shot something and you can use it for this campaign, don't shoot something new. Try to upcycle it, try to reuse it. Number 4, spend more time in pre-production. Understand what you want, where you should spend money. Understand all of that before you get to set. Figure out how to spend time with your production partner prior to going to set. And number 5, when you figure out what you should spend money on, spend money on it. Do not skimp on things that are crucial for capturing the story you need to capture. And that was my first listicle. I'm posing for a poster frame. How about this way? Guys, if we're going for we're doing a straight algorithm play by Jared's jabs being a listicle. So we need your help knowing how this poster frame should.
This is looking really good.
There you go. Also, this makes me think that this all implies an umbrella that hovers over all 5 of these points, which is finding a production partner that you trust, because all of these things require an immense amount of trust between the partners, the collaborator.
The second shoot's always easier.
Yep. Especially if you found somebody who you can hold on to. So
No. It's either easier or it's a new company you're partnered with.
That's a good point. Well, why don't you wrap this puppy up?
This has been The Brand Spaceship. I'm Ryan Sheffer. That's producer Jared. And today, he really showed me how little work he has to do to get a job well done.
I'm just here. That's all. But next episode, it's going to be great. Buckle up.
Fire thumbs.